Hi, the title of this podcast is What is Mindfulness About? Michael Singer, the author of The Untethered Soul and the Surrender Experiment, says that it means being in charge of your mind. It's about you being there instead of you not being there. It's about you saying, hey, mind, I'm in charge. You don't tell me what to do. I tell you what to do. And I think about that when things have happened with me in the past in which I've been reactionary or I've been consumed with worry or anxiousness to the point that I'm reacting as opposed to taking space, being centered and rooted in peacefulness to take intelligent action. I have really not been practicing mindfulness. I've been at the effect of something that has happened. I become triggered, the emotions rise, I create a narrative, and based on that narrative, I start to act. And it happens like that. But when I'm being mindful, I'm not at the effect of my mind, which is responding from fear or from pleasure or something else. Instead, I am rooted and centered in a space in which I am objectively taking in whatever the stimulus is, and I'm choosing to take action, which begins with acceptance. And if there's action to be taken, it's intelligent action that's based in or rooted in being peaceful. And so here's an example of being mindful that just happened here recently. So I'm in this space for this little wellness studio, and we've been here 8 or 9 years. And so for the first 5 years that we were here, things were going well. And then there was a period in which the business went through a challenging time. And what happened was there were some of the clients, about half, chose to go into a different direction. And so that cut the revenue in half. And so it made very, very challenging financially to be able to pay the monthly lease. And so for a while, I got behind. And then things got better over time. And I think what really got better was internally, I became mindful. Instead of losing sleep at night, worried about what was going to happen, I just really started to take intelligent action regarding trying to build a business. But more than that, the action that I took was coming up with this practice. And this practice helped me stay peaceful as I went about trying to just live a purpose-driven life of continuing to contribute to others free of the default settings. And whether the business survived or not was really secondary. What was more important to me was being peaceful and going through life, expressing loving kindness to others. And so in this particular case, when our lease ended at that 5-year point, because of the uncertainty of revenue coming in, I chose not to renew the lease. And instead, I talked to the landlord and we agreed that I could go month to month. Now, with that came the risk and the benefit. The risk being, say what the risk is first, is that at any time within 45 to 60 days, either party could say, hey, listen, this is the last month. We're going to go in separate directions, and that'd be the end of our relationship. The benefit being that if things got challenging again, I wasn't contractually obligated to fulfill on the contract because there wasn't one in place that would affect my business credit, because I was unable to make payments. So that's the route that we chose to go. And we continued along this for 5 years. It was great, and then I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and which someone walked through the door when I was having a meeting, very much like we're doing now with this Zoom recording for the podcast. And I received a document saying that the property owner was terminating the month to month, and that I had a limited time to move on. But I wasn't prepared to move on. And so I remember just for a split second of those thoughts and narratives come about, what we're going to do. I can't believe this. I need to call somebody. And all those like rapid successions of thoughts. And then I just kind of leaned back and said, I'm not getting involved with those narratives. I need to root myself in peacefulness first. And so I went back to the meeting, and the meeting ended, and I took space. I thought for a second and said, this is what you've committed yourself to. These little things that are going to happen in life, to remain peaceful in the face of them, that you are not going to be at the effect of situations or some outside stimulus. You work very hard on that. No matter what happens on the outside, you're going to remain peaceful and centered inside, that you don't need the outside world to show up a certain way for you to be okay inside. So here you go. Like here's your opportunity to practice that. And so after rooting myself in peacefulness, I took a breath, I took space, and I called someone who is really well versed in this area. And what they told me was, don't do anything. I'll look further into it, and I'll get back to you in a couple of days. Well, that night I went home, slept like a baby. Next night, slept like a baby. The next couple of days come, my friend doesn't call me back, and I'm not fretting. I am not worried. I'm not anxious. Like none of that's happening. There's no obsessive thinking. I am peaceful. And I'm thinking to myself with incredible gratitude that I worked to get here, that I worked to get to this space. And I've accepted that if it's time to, close the doors here, then I accept that completely. I mean, ToBeRe had a great run for a small business to go 16 years. We had a great run. Hopefully we've done some good work along the way. So I was really in that space of being really peaceful. And then about a week later, my friend came to me and said, don't worry about it. I've got it worked out. And I just think about that week and a half, almost 2 weeks could have gone a completely different way. I could have not taken his advice and tried to fix it on my own, which could have, I don't know, really caused a setback even further than the one that seemed to be there. I could have lost sleep every night. I could have spent every day, instead of being present for the people around me and all the blessings and all the goodness in the world, filled with ruminations and obsessive thinking. I could have spent the 2 weeks like that, or I could have been mindful, and which involved telling my mind that you don't tell me what to do, to worry, to be anxious, or anything like that. I tell you what to do. And what I'm telling you to do is to lean back. I got this. And when I say I, the conscious me, Key 2.0, who is not operating from those default settings anymore. So I invite you to consider what mindfulness is for you. And to also, if you want to be free of what the mind does when it is trapped in the default settings and you're not being in charge, then consider really rooting yourself into the practice, not just going through the motions of the 10 to 15 minutes of the 5 exercises, but instead rooting yourself in practicing every day when something goes wrong, quote unquote, that you're choosing to not become at the effect of what your mind tells you to do, that only causes suffering in the form of worrying, being anxious, obsessive thinking, and ruminations. Instead, train yourself to lean back. Without knowing it, we trained ourselves to be worriers, and we reinforce that with worrying all the time, or to be anxious, or to ruminate, or to be caught up in excessive thinking. That's been trained behavior that's become a habit. Well, there's something else you can do. You can train yourself to do something different that is freeing and liberating. And what's on the other side of that is that you being peaceful in the face of whatever shows up. So to me, that is what mindfulness has come to me.